Neil Humphrey is a professor of geology at the University of Wyoming. He specializes in studying glaciers and climate change in cold regions. And I asked him what will happen if the Tianshan glacier melts, given that it is so close to a Chinese city.
That's a little bit of a red herring, I think, because the glacier itself is not keeping much of the water that's affecting that city. It's releasing some of the water in the late summer to supply water to the city. But as far as floods and things like that, that's really climate change and water falling as rain, not as snow. Actually, especially related to that glacier, the really important thing about glaciers is that they store water in winter in the beginning part of summer, and they release it at the very end of the summer when everything else is dry. And so in Tibet and in Wyoming, where I am, we're very concerned because the late summer stream flow is slowly dying away, and it's very, very hard for agriculture because they're losing that critical water. It's not that much, but it's that critical water right at the end of the season.
There is a report that says if this glacier in Tianshan Mountain is protected, it could last another 70 to 90 years. How realistic is that?
That's quite realistic. The Japanese have actually tried doing this with a small snowfield in Japan. The problem is it kind of defeats the purpose of keeping the glacier there. The idea of keeping the glacier is so it can release water, and if you protect it, it doesn't release water.
Scientists are finding an increasing amount of polluting dust on this glacier. Talk to us more about the impact of that.
Dust on snow, it's very variable on what it does. If it's thick, it actually protects the snow and stops it from melting because the sun can't heat the snow. So the glacier will grow if there's a lot of dirt on it. Unfortunately, most of pollution type dirt, carbon deposits and things like that are very thin, and they mainly just absorb the sun's rays. They increase the rate of melt, and so it's really an adverse effect. The glacier melts much more quickly when you have a little bit of dust on it as opposed to a thick layer.
We hear a lot now about glaciers and climate change. What signs are scientists watching right now with glaciers in general?
Mostly we're doing what everybody else is doing, which is looking to see how they're responding. And right now, most of the glaciers in the world are retreating because the climate is warming, and glaciers respond to increased precipitation or increased temperature. And mostly it's just the increase in temperature. There's a few places where more precipitation is causing them to grow, but that's unusual.
All right, Professor Neil Humphrey, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.